like eating a spoonful of Drano. Sure, it'll clean you out. It'll leave you hollow inside.
Hi everyone, welcome to Priority Holder, and today we'll be playing Mono Red Hollow One in the Timeless format. Hollow One's just an awesome card that when you discard cards, you get a cost reduction, so you could potentially cast them for 1 or even 0 mana if you're discarding plenty of cards. And so it plays well with stuff like Fable the Mirror Breakers Chapter 2. You can pitch some cards, possibly draw some Hollow Ones, play them really cheap. And also Rising Star Inti, which is just amazing. Whenever you attack with anything, you can pitch a card, put a 1/1 counter on something, give it trample, which is already good, but anytime you discard any cards with Inti in play, you get a free impulse draw for each instance. So it's just really good way to keep the cards flowing and just really overwhelm people with attacking. So this is a really strong card. Honestly, probably shines more than Hollow One does. We have some other nice stuff to go with all the discard effects. We have some Madness spells, Fiery Temper, and Blazing Rootwalla just to get value off those discards. Faithless Looting is a good way to get the Hollow Ones down for cheap. Flameblade Adept can get aggro when you're discarding tons of cards. And we're also playing stuff that can refill your hand like Ox of Agonas in case of the Crimson Pulse. Now this deck is also historic legal. I just tend to charge into Timeless with whatever I think of. So you could play it in either format. But yeah, let's jump into some games. This is not super ideal hand. Our 1 red source comes into play tapped, but otherwise seems pretty good. It's hard to mulligan that, but anyway, hard to say. That's the cost of running Forgotten Cave, you know, so. Now opponents thought seizing us. Would have loved if they took Blazing Rootwalla, but no, they took our other one, drop. So we'll play our tap land and pass. Alright, Insidious Roots. Love to see it. Well, we'll see how much we love it if they end up really going off with it. I'm going to go ahead and play Insolent Neonate. And I'm going to hold on now that we draw in Fiery Temper. Alright, opponent thought seizes, so. Would love if they took Blazing Rootwalla or Fiery Temper, but alas, they took our Case of the Crimson Pulse, so, and have another Insidious Root, so they've taken a lot of damage off their shocks and thought seizes, but if they ever get those Insidious Roots going, we are in like big trouble. We are not really doing a whole lot right now. Just passing, hoping to eventually empty our hand and play Ox of Agonas, and a 3rd Roots. So, alright, and a Witch is up. Okay, so it becomes clear now. So what they're trying to do is pair Cat Oven with Insidious Roots to just create insurmountable plant armies. Now, all they have left is Lurrus Companion, no cards in hand, so we gotta make something happen. Now I do something here that I'm not quite sure is the right thing. I wanted just to get things going, so I fire off Geier Sanitarium. I figured it was relatively safe because they had no cards in hand, but there is this exact risk of putting a creature in their graveyard for Lurrus to eventually fish out. We put a Bowmasters in their graveyard. Now they would have just drawn that next turn anyway, and that would have also been bad, so it's hard to say. Okay, so opponent just puts Lurrus into hand and passes. It's now or never. Like, the opponent's at 12, and if they can just slam Lurrus and bring a Bowmasters back, we are in like massive trouble. Not only does like half our stuff die to Bowmasters directly, but then they're gonna get so many plant tokens, so we're trying to hammer them for as much damage as we can right here, but we're just praying they don't have a land. Alright, so opponent slams Lurrus, and we're bracing for impact right here. And they have the land. Okay, so this game is just getting started now. So they're gonna get a bunch of Insidious Roots triggers. Now we have Insolent Neonate plus Fiery Temper on demand. So before Bowmasters hits, because Neonate's gonna give us a draw trigger, we don't want to give them any extra Bowmaster triggers, so we're gonna go ahead and Fiery Temper down the Lurrus. That seems way too dangerous to leave around. It can just keep recurring Bowmasters. As bad as Bowmasters is for our strategy with how much like card draw we have and how many X1s, Lurrus, the potential of Lurrus is way worse. So, but just like that, opponent has built an instant board of 5 creatures, and we even killed the 6th one. So now we gotta grind out this game. So this is a question right here. Do we discard anything? Because they have an active Bowmaster, so anything we discard is going to prompt us to draw extra cards and give them Bowmaster triggers. But I decide we can't just sit here and do nothing, so I go ahead and pitch 2 cards. This is exactly what I was hoping would happen, that we draw some interaction. So basically, I'm just tanking a bunch of Bowmaster's hits here with the hope of drawing removal, which we did. And thinking this through, decide, gonna go ahead and Lightning Axe down the Orc army, discarding Fiery Temper and casting Fiery Temper on Bowmasters. So opponent's gonna go ahead and crack the Witch's Oven. Now I go ahead and take down the Orc army. Honestly, it was better to take down the 3/4 plant at this point. But I guess if they drew another Bowmasters, then the army would grow bigger. Anyway, that was sort of my rationale, but I could see an argument for taking down the 3/4. I'm gonna go ahead and use a Geier Sanitarium. The opponent is getting to filter their hand right here, so like it's not super ideal. And go ahead and pitch Ox of Agonas. Did a graveyard check there, and we've already filled it up pretty nicely. Alright, so opponent pitches a land. Alright, so they're going to send it. I mean, they are at 7, so they have to be a little careful. They do have like a food token, like in case things get real bad. But they have like a blocker back for our goblin token. Insolent Neonate. Alright, so we get Fable flipped. And trying to figure out what to do. Seems like we should lead with Insolent Neonate. And probably be pretty good to escape Ox of Agonas. So we're going to go ahead and fast forward through the escape process. Have to exile 8 cards to escape. And this is going to be a draw through right here. And this is why I was so intent on getting rid of Bowmasters. We have so many like draw effects in this deck. Inti is an amazing draw right here. That's going to actually allow us to attack in with the Goblin token, since it's going to trigger Inti, and we'll be able to pitch a card. Not to mention the treasure the Goblin provides makes this attack super nice right here. So Inti's going off. Anytime you discard a card, Inti lets you sort of impulse draw. So we're going to cast the Fiery Temper off the treasure token the Goblin provided, and now it feels like we're getting right back into this game. At least, well, the opponent has the ability to get food, and so that's going to at least buy them a decent chunk of time. Alright, so go ahead and crack both the foods, and presumably not going to block the Goblin, considering Inti also gives it temporary trample. Okay, yeah, so the opponent just takes it. Now I'm going to go ahead and activate an Insolent Neonate here to get the Hollow One discount down to 1 mana. Now we are going to miss out on like a Fiery Temper, but really wanted to get that Hollow One into play. And just like that, we turned it around. Wow, what an awesome game. Now as we move into the next game, please remember to deadshot the like button, comment and subscribe. Supports the channel, helps you know what the people want. Now in this game, our hand is better. We have some untapped sources. We'll have to sort of see how it develops. We got Fable, we got a Hollow One. Alright, so opponent had a priority pass there. Oh great, Dark Ritual. Let's see what happens. Alright, Bloodletter of Aquazot's. Interesting. So it seems like a different take on the Black Devotion strategy. Aquazot's damage doubles their damage output on their turn. Seems very dangerous. Like if they drop like a Nykthos and like a Grey Merchant down the line, like basically is like an insta-kill with Bloodletter. So that's like a sort of cool strategy the opponent has going on. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and Lightning Axe and put a free Blazing Rootwalla into play. Bowmasters. So they did have the Nykthos, so it was really good we took down the Bloodletter. But they're gonna take down our Neonate. We could have activated it there, but it just, you know, it didn't seem super amazing to do. Alright, we attack in with Rootwalla. We're gonna trade it off with the Orc army. We're gonna play a new Neonate and pass the turn. So opponent's gonna fire a Fatal Push. That's actually really good for us. Honestly, I'm not sure that was a good play by them, because that's gonna allow us to Fiery Temper away the Bowmasters And they're not even going to get the trigger off the Bowmaster since it's going to be dead before the Neonate trigger goes off. Unfortunately, we got all expensive spells and only 2 lands, so we need something to happen. An opponent has a backup Bloodletter of Aglazot, so we need to make something happen fast. Now, okay, so we have to pitch some stuff. Definitely gonna pitch Ox. We can get that later. Case seems like it's just not super useful right now. Hollow One does go down to 1 mana though, since we fired off a Faithless Looting, so that Faithless Looting was super clutch. That hand was going nowhere fast without it. Alright, so opponent dings us for 4. And they're gonna Meat Hook for 2. Alright, so which only kills our Adept. Now checking graveyard check, checking Ox of Agonas and what spells have been used up already. Because we have some options, like because we could Fable. But once again, I'm gonna go ahead and pitch. We have some good cards in hand. The problem is I'm so worried about getting Grey Merchant insta-killed with the Bloodletter out there that I'm like desperately fishing for a Lightning Axe. No, Lightning Axe? What's it called? Anyway, trying to find a way to remove Bloodletter of Aklazots. I was confusing Lightning Axe with Lava Axe for a second. I was doubting myself. Alright, Bitter Triumph, pitching Dark Ritual to take down our creature. And pass. Alright, so opponent has no cards in hand, and we do find the Lightning Axe. We dug deep enough and fast enough to find it before they could slam us with the Grey Merchant. So we're gonna hammer it with Lightning Axe, and gonna smash it with our creatures. Now, not a very mana efficient turn from us, but like very grateful we're able to take that down. And it's looking grim for the opponent. And yeah, they go ahead and pack it in. So another nice win, and yeah, that felt pretty good. All right, turn 1, Windswept Heath, fetching a Triome. Mana is a little awkward because, anyway, holding up Lightning Axe here. It's hard to say like whether we should have played the tap land, but very glad that we did. So this is going to be costly to remove Ragavan, but Ragavan's just too strong. Like we gotta pitch. We have a spare Intis, so it's not the most costly thing. But very glad we held up the turn 1 removal there, even though it looked a little off that Triumph. It wasn't exactly clear it was necessary. All right, here's Wild Nacatl. So it's clear that they're on a domain strategy now. Now, Inti is just super strong. We're going to be able to attack right into Nacatl here because we can pitch something. And we Impulse Straw Land. Opponent just takes the damage. Definitely going to play the land. Going to go ahead and play Flameblade Adept and pass. Keeping the spare Inti in hand because it's likely to get bolted or, Leyline Binding or something like that. Opponent plays Breakout to sort of fish up a Nacatl. They're probably really hoping to find like a Territorial Kavu instead, but Nacatl is like not the worst, but it's just not as good as them hitting a Kavu. Alright. This seems like too much damage to take, and like if we kill one of the Nacatls, we could probably like race them pretty efficiently, especially with Inti on our side. So we're gonna attack in, pitch the tap land, and see if we draw something. Once again, holding on to the extra Inti because Inti is just like a removal magnet. Alright, Faithless Looting. Could play Faithless Looting. Alright. Checking the graveyard count right here to see how close we are to bringing Ox back. But yeah, it seems fine to pitch Ox in the land. And it is unfortunate we didn't get to do that pre-combat. Gonna go ahead and play Neonate. I guess there's an argument for playing Rootwalla since it can attack into Nacatl there. So, oh yeah, so there's Tribal Flames cutting down Inti. But we kept a spare. And the opponent has to sit back on the defensive, though. They should have attacked in because our creatures had menace anyway, but yeah, they got a little mana screwed and they packed it in, so. Alright, Dragon's Rage Channeler from the opponent into Mistress Bauble, so they're off to the races already. We gotta see if we can match their super fast start. Alright, we have a Den of the Bugbear. Gonna go ahead and lead in Flameblade Adept. Searing Blood is really tough because not only gets rid of our creature but deals us some incidental damage. It's a pretty strong card in these like burnless. Gonna go ahead and fire a Faithless Looting. It's gonna let us put a Rootwalla into play. And we're gonna pitch an extra copy of Den of the Bugbear. They're just gonna start coming into play tapped past this turn. So we'll put Rootwalla into play and play Neonate. Hopeful that we can like deter Dragon's Rage Channeler from attacking, though it's quite likely to hit Delirium. So we'll have to see what happens. Alright, opponent attacks in with both. Now go ahead and do a single block here. I think that was a mistake. I think if I actually wanted to kill it, I should have double blocked and just assumed they were not going to hit Delirium. Like, there is the chance that they can surveil a creature, and then anyway. But I think that was a mistake by me because we would much rather have that Dragon's Rage Channeler in the graveyard. So, gonna go ahead and play Inti, and gonna get the attack trigger. Pitch Flameblade. Once again, that's I'm not sure was the correct decision because that's another creature we could play. But we did draw a Lightning Axe. The problem is like it's card disadvantage. So I'm gonna pitch the extra Lightning Axe, but honestly maybe should have been Fable just to make sure we had plenty of removal to deal with their stuff. So yeah, I don't know, there's a lot of sort of rapid fire decisions there that are possibly could have been improved. So opponent static discharges down Inti and has light up the stage fall. So just an amazing follow-up, and we would have been much rather sitting with the Lightning Axe in hand than Fable of the Mirror Breaker. So it's unfortunate, and we miss 4 points of damage. We're not attacking with Rootwalla there and pumping, but yeah, it's just a little unfortunate. Alright, opponent's gonna discharge us to the face. They just keep getting stronger the more they cast, so we fall to 8. The opponent offers up the trade. Fortunately, Rootwalla can block and pump right here. But I think the biggest mistake was keeping Fable over Lightning Axe. I think would have been feeling a lot better having that Lightning Axe, though it would, each one is pretty taxing since it's card disadvantage, unless you're pitching Rootwallas to it. But sort of fizzling on all of our card draw right here. So we have plenty of cards in the graveyard if we can actually survive long enough to escape an Ox of Agonas. It looks unlikely though, and might have been able to bluff an attack in with the Goblin before using up all our mana, so that's something to consider also. It's just, yeah, and the opponent just has the static discharge for 5, attack for 3, and we are dead. So we move on to the next one. Any hand that has like an Inti and some early, the right colors of mana is pretty strong. So feeling pretty good about that. But opponent hammers us with Thoughtseize. Interesting they take case of the Crimson Pulse. They must have like creature removal or something, but I was surprised they took that, honestly. Alright, opponent with the Fatal Push. Honestly, maybe it wasn't the best just leading with Inti. It's going for the upside though. Alright, Fable the Mirror Breaker. Let's see what they can do about it. Make our token. And it survives, surprisingly. Oh, here's Dark Ritual. Bowmasters. And Nightmare Scenario. Bowmasters into Bowmasters. And Bowmasters is just a good card, but it's particularly good against us. Now, we really want to discard the 2 cards because that lets us play 2 hollow ones this turn. But we're also drawing 2 in the face of 2 Bowmasters, so it is extremely costly to do so. But like I said, I really wanted to get those hollow ones into play. So the opponent's just going to hammer us with a bunch of Bowmaster triggers. Unfortunately, we drew mostly lands off all that. We had to just sort of discard spells, so not ideal, but at least the opponent has to think twice before attacking us. The opponent actually had removal that could take down Hollow One. Typically, the black decks are mostly packing like Fatal Pushes, but we're gonna snap off this double block here. I wonder if this is actually too hasty from the opponent, or if they didn't remember that the Rootwalla had the pump ability, because that creature is massive and like we can't easily deal with it with like our red based removal. So now with just 2 Bowmasters in play, it seems like we're all of a sudden in the driver's seat. Like I said, I don't think that was a good attack from them when we had such an easy block to make. Alright, so the opponent's charging it with Hive of the Eye Tyrant. They could have left it up on defense. Surprised they actually did not take the Faithless Looting there, since that's the the graveyard relevant spell at the moment. But we're just going to keep smashing in. The Bowmasters are not the best blockers, and if we are easily winning this race, like Den of the Bugbear is going to win the race against Hive of the Eye Tyrant like every time. So, not to mention, we know we have a Fiery Temper in hand. Alright, so opponent goes Dark Ritual into Hive activation, attacks again. Still not exiling Faithless Looting. Surprised by that, and honestly surprised they didn't leave it back on defense to like trade with the Den of the Bugbear and stop the bleeding. So now Reflection of Kiki Jiki activating on Den of the Bugbear is a non-bow, so that's why I'm not doing it. Alright, so opponent did find a Fatal Push. So that attack makes more sense that they had a removal backup. But now the opponent falls to 3 and they need something pretty good here. Yeah, they would have needed like some massive life gain like March of Wretched Sorrow, but we have the burn spell for the direct damage kill and Lucky to Last win. I love the combination of this deck being like explosive, but also being able to grind games out. Like you get some really busted Hollow One or Inti starts, but also like the games last long, you start escaping Ox of Agonas and just grind people out that way. So it's just a very satisfying deck to play. Now you will note that we are like seemingly pretty soft to Bowmasters with X1s and a lot of card draw spells, but yet, as you saw in those games, like we were like playing into known Bowmasters, like triggering them a bunch of times and still emerging victorious. So anyway, maybe it's not as bad of a matchup as it seems at first glance, and there might be, you could see there's a million cards I was like considering for this deck. There might be ways to shore up the Bowmasters matchup even more, but it honestly didn't seem like that big a problem. Maybe you could use some more lightning bolts to deal with them, but yeah, there's so much customizability to this list. Red has a plethora of these kind of discard draw effects, and so you could really customize it. But I think this is a really good starting point if you wanted to try and build a Hollow One deck. But yeah, let me know in the comments what's your favorite red card that makes you discard. Anyways, thank you for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day.